stamping clay. The basics. Let's review. First, let's discuss the difference between impressing clay versus stamping clay. Although similar, they are different. Impressing clay. Pressing items into leather-hard clay to create an original textural surface. Types of tools: textiles, wood, metal, found random objects. Result: an original textural clay surface. Stamping clay. Pressing a carved tool, stamp, with a specific design, pattern, or letter into leather-hard clay to create a reproduction of the stamp's surface design. Tools: rubber, metal, wood, or plastic stamps. Result: precise design or pattern. So again, although similar, they are different. Sometimes you'll hear these terms being used interchangeably. I find at times I do that myself, but they are very different. Let's go over application. The application of the objects that I press directly into the clay is a little different than the application of these textured surface that I roll onto the clay or place onto the clay and then roll over with a rolling pin or pony roller. They both apply texture to the clay, just the application is a little different, and I will go over that in this video. In the impressing and stamping tools and objects video, I went over a variety of different tools that can be impressed into clay. In this particular video, I will show how to press into the clay and the various considerations involved. For example, stages of clay, material being placed into the clay, and timing, just to name a few. I have a little clay tile here, and I'll go over some of the different types of impressing and stamping tools and objects, and best practices when attempting to impress into clay. First, before I begin any stamping, I want to check and make sure that the clay I'm going to use is at the right stage, which would be the leather hard stage. Please view the video on stages of clay if you already haven't done so. So to test the clay, I'm going to take my finger and run it across the surface of the clay. And what I want is not to be picking up any clay on my finger. So no clay on my finger. This clay is good to go. The next thing I want to do is take a rib and run it across the surface of the clay. I might use a metal rib, a flexible rib, or I also like to use plastic cards. These could be expired library cards, gift cards, and the flexibility differs. This card is very flexible. This one's a little stiffer, and this one's also a little more rigid. So I'll take the rib and go over the surface of the clay. And I like to do this because it creates a really smooth surface. That helps create a really clear impression in the clay. So first I'll start with the commercial stamp. This is a rubber stamp, and I'm usually not really that enthusiastic about using commercial stamps. So there's the little snowflake stamp impressed into the clay. Oh, and I would like to say that if you use a commercial stamp, it's kind of nice not to just stamp right in the middle of something, but maybe layer the commercial stamp by putting that stamp on another surface or multiple stamps. so that it adds more visual interest to the piece than just stamping a little flower in the middle of the clay. Next, I will try the clay stamps. I'll try a couple of those. I'll go ahead and impress. And with stamps like this, I usually like to go in multiple directions. Let me go back over that. And I'll go ahead and use this one too. I'll put this one right up here. And again, I go up and down and around to make sure the edges are picked up. There we go. Now I'll try one of the wood stamps. Now this one doesn't have a little handle to it, so I'll be able to easily lift that. But if not, you want to have a needle tool or something that will help you lift it from the clay. And that left a nice impression. And now I'll try the pod. Pressing it again back and forth and left and right. Lift. Nice impression. So far, with the stamps I've used, they release easily. The clay stamp is porous. This little wood stamp is porous. The rubber stamp also released easily. Now I'll try some metal and then plastic. Notice that it's tending to stick a little because it's not a porous surface. So this is where it really helps to make sure the clay is leather hard. If it was wet, it would really stick. And really by going over the surface with the rib, whether it be metal or the cards or the flexible rib, it does almost creates like a little smooth skin that helps for the tools to release. Now I'll try this pencil lead holder. And I'll go ahead and start up here, and I'm going to do a series of stamps. Let me go back in. So I didn't rock back and forth with this one. So again, remember rocking back and forth really helps. Go over here. I'm going to turn my lid. And once again, instead of putting my hands in all different kinds of positions, I'll usually turn the item. There's going to be a little bit of overlap here, but that's okay. There. I made kind of a little diamond shape. And there's this little run on here, but I'll see later how I can. Maybe I can add some additional textures and kind of make it all work together. So now I'm going to press with this little screwdriver tool. And there's a lot of different things I can do. Right here like this, it's just giving a little pattern, but sometimes you can go in if you want a little intricate design. And let's go ahead and try the back of this and see what that does for us. And again, I go round. It sticks. That's kind of interesting. And now I'm going to use the little container it came in. This is plastic, so again, oh, it gave an outline of a square. And and a flat square. So you'll see that these are just random objects that you have around. You might just look in a little drawer where you keep random things, little junk drawer, and see what you find and see what kind of textures they will create. Go in with another clay. This is more of a bar. You have a little bit of a texture there. This is one of those little wheel type of stamps. That gave somewhat of a texture, but it's a good segue to the next type of stamps that we'll be looking at, where we're rolling and impressing. So this was impressing, but it was kind of a bit of a roll. I have other wheel stamps as well. And again, please look to the video on making clay stamps for more information about this type of stamp and rolling stamps and wheel stamps. I will now go over the other ways you can impress to clay, but in this particular case, there's going to be more rolling the items. So for example, if I have something fabric like this, it would be really difficult to just really press it in. So I'd want to use a little roller. So let me kind of get that ready, and then I will take a little rolling pin. And I'm just going to use a little section here, and I'm going to lay it down, and then now I'll just gently roll. I'm going to go back and forth a few times. And now I will lift. So we see here I pressed in here. I could have used a little more pressure. So now I'm going to lay it back here. And press a little harder. Now the one thing, when you're pressing clay like this, sometimes it will distort the shape, and we'll go into that. Like, what if I'm not using tiles? What if I'm actually using bowls or cups or something and I want texture? And I will go over that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and lift, and this time it's a better impression. So that was an easy fix. I'll go ahead and maybe I'm going to use a little bit of this ribbon right here. Like a lace ribbon, which will be very similar to what I just did. No lift. It's okay. I'm not that crazy about it. And always try on a little test piece first, like have a little slab off to the side before you jump onto your actual piece. That wasn't too bad, but we're just kind of testing and seeing what happens. And then now I have the paper, and I have a feeling that that's not really going to give too much of an impression. Maybe right here, this part, but I'm not sure we'll pick up all of this. We'll see. And so the idea of having a little slab or playing around with the different textures first is a good idea, because what I found is sometimes I'll have something that I think is going to make a really nice texture, and it doesn't. And then I'll have something that I really don't think it will, but I'll go ahead and give it a go anyway, and I'll be really happy with it. See, this didn't pick up at all. Let me go back in. I'm really going to press harder. But I need to be careful too, because I don't want to distort my form so much, which I think I just did. Yes, I did. Yeah, so that one is not a go. So now what I'll do, this gives me an opportunity to show you. Now I could wait till I'm totally done and do this, but I'll just go ahead and do that right now. I'm just going to take my metal rib, go like that, lay it down like this. So I've kind of lined it up with this edge here. Push down, and just smooth it. And when I'm done, I mean, I fixed it. It's still a little bit of a wave here, but when I'm done, I'll go ahead and go over it one more time. So I want to try, this is one of my favorites. It's the coffee sleeve that you get with your coffee. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put that right here like that. Just a little corner. And nice texture. Happy with that. I do have these wooden blocks that you can put over, and this one you would definitely put pressure and go back and forth. So I'm not going to do that right now. Maybe at the end, maybe. But it's similar to the coffee sleeve, but it's wood. And the spacing is a little different. So you could have similar texture, just spacing is a little different. So now I will use one of these mesh. Which one will I use? I think I will use this one. And I'm going to just go over this area here. Now I'm not going to go over the entire part, just this portion that overlaps, and it kind of sticks. And here, I don't really want to use the pony roller because I don't want an indentation, but I'm going to be really light right here. And then I'm just going to go over like that. So I'm trying not to get the area where I had the coffee sleeve. And I'll lift, and I'm happy with that texture. So something like this, you would press in there, and if I tried to press it with my fingers, it might be problematic. So with this one too, I'd probably want to roll over it. I'm going to not use that one though. I also have this. I'm trying to see where I might want to work that in. Maybe I'll do an overlap right here. Or right here. This is where it gets really interesting because there are so many possibilities. I think I'm going to do an overlap right here. Yeah. So I'll press that in first. And then I'm really going to need to press hard. And I don't think I'm going to get all of it, but some of it. So we'll see. Pressing in the edge. Yeah, nice. Okay. And so I'm almost finished, but I have this wood. This is wood, and I could put a border. Now I'm just trying to decide where I would want to put that because I'm kind of really happy with all of this right here. So I don't know. Maybe right here. I'll turn this around. And although this was really nice, this is just a we might forget that that was even there though, so. And I don't want to distort that. I'll go ahead and I'll go in like this at an angle. Press really hard. And I'll lift. That's interesting. I didn't get, I mean, you can kind of see this, but in some ways it's kind of nice because it kind of looks like it took these straight lines and then they just kind of twist in some kind of way there. I like that. And then I also wanted to go back. So I mentioned that when you're using a commercial stamp, instead of just having it, you know, stamping in the middle If you integrate it, it makes it more visually interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and, although I really like what's happening here, I'm going to press. So now I'm doing the different technique. The first technique when we're pressing in, but again, I'm incorporating a lot of different textures. There, and I have that. When I come to glazing selection, I will take that into consideration, that there's a lot of different levels of texture. Okay, so let's take a look at the, I'm going to take this off this wear board really quick. And we'll take a look at the first and second. Then I'll trim them off. And so these were, again, oh, I didn't do my chopstick. Okay. My chopstick is my favorite, so I'm glad I saw that. So chopsticks can be used in a variety of ways. You can repeat patterns. So I'm going to show how that would be done. I could do a border. Oops, I picked up a little piece of dry clay there. And that's an easy fix. Just take a little brush and brush that away. So if that happens, don't worry. Just take a little, and that can happen. Just take a little, either a little cleanup tool or your needle tool, and then just get rid of that, and then just lightly brush it away with a little brush. You don't want to blow that away and breathe clay dust. But with the chopstick, I just wanted to show again, so many different options. And then with my other chopstick that I had, I have larger circles. Do 3. And then again, some smaller. And notice this, so where I really pressed, I'm gonna go over how you get rid of those if you're working on tiles. I hope I didn't forget anything else. Okay, so let's go back and compare. And then I'm going to straighten out these tiles, and then I'm also going to talk about what happens if you're not working on a flat surface and you're working on a cup or a bowl and you want to apply texture, because there are some more considerations. So with this, I could decide to incorporate some of those in here, some of these little smaller designs, and that's something interesting to do, is to layer. I'm going to take this little, it looks like a little star, and I'll put that right here. And I'm going to try not to press as hard as I did with this one, but we'll see. Yeah, that's nice. And I like to do things in 3, so I'll choose one more. I think I'll try this little clay stamp. And I'll do a little bit of an little overlap right here. I like that. So that worked out okay. I'm now going to go over once again how to straighten your edges if you're working on a tile and you've distorted it. And we'll take the metal rib, and then I'm just going to line it up. And I'll cut it here. I took off just a little piece here. And then just down here. I'll take my finger and smooth the edge. Oh, and as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that this could use a little trim as well. piece right there and smooth it out. And then I'll smooth out all the edges. Okay, so it's easier when you're working on a flat piece. So let's talk about what if we have a vertical piece. Here's a little vertical piece that I made real quick to do a demo on a vertical piece. One thing to take into consideration, this is probably thicker than it needed to be, but better safe than sorry. If you're hand building or wheel throwing, make your piece about 1/4 inch thick, and you can always taper the edges. I have another video on tapering your edges. So that has the appearance of being thinner, but it's actually the body of the piece is thicker, it's sturdy, it's stable, it's nice, it's not fragile. But when you're impressing into clay, you want to make sure that you have enough surface to press into that you don't poke right through the clay, or make it so where part of the clay is maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then once you press in, it's paper thin and it can crack. 1/4 of an inch is user-friendly thickness for a lot of different applications in clay. So if you're casting the piece, so again, if you're hand building the piece or wheel throwing, 1/4 inch, and then you can taper the edge so it has the appearance of being thinner. If you're casting the piece, normally a cast would be about a nickel thickness. You want to leave it in there about a good 3 to 5 minutes longer, no more than 10 minutes longer, but you want it a little thicker than that nickel. You need it to be thicker than that nickel, or it can be problematic. Again, you have it getting too thin, and that lends itself to cracking. Okay, so here's a little piece. And another thing I wanted to show is right here. I thought I'd make a little decorative foot, and this is just by impressing. So this is a little ball stylus, and I just went in and pressed, and then pressed again. And it doesn't have to be a ball stylus. It could be the end of a brush. This is a bamboo brush, and go in like that. So what it did was impress into the surface and made the foot a little more visually interesting. Okay, so for impressing. So when I impress into the surface of clay, I just don't want to stamp in. I will distort the form, maybe crack it. Now, once again, leather hard, because if you go to stiff leather hard, you risk it cracking. Remember, leather hard has visible moisture, but if I try to manipulate it, it will be okay. Stiff leather hard, there's visual moisture, but if I try to manipulate it, it may crack or break. So leather hard, but I'm going to stick my hands in to support it. So if it was a bowl or anything, my hand would be inside and I would stamp, and then, or I can lay it at its side like this and stamp into the piece. So normally I would have the piece like this, supporting the inside, and then press and make little circles. But because I want you to see, I'm going to try to put it at an angle. So I've gone ahead and gone with this little spiral, and I'm going to aim to put the little spiral right here. And now I'm pressing with my fingers towards the stamp. At the same time, I'm pushing in with the stamp, and I'm making little circles to make sure I get those edges. Hold it, and now I lift. And I have a nice little spiral on my piece. So once again, if this was a commercial stamp, I would want to go ahead and embellish everything so we don't really recognize that it's the commercial stamp. But that may not be of any issue to you. I personally gravitate more towards hand-built stamps or found objects. I don't mind if it's just a simple stamp if it's been handmade, but that's just a personal preference. So in this particular case, I've gone ahead and stamped it. Notice I didn't go in too deep. so I don't risk it being paper thin and then thicker and cracking. So support the inside when you stamp on the outside. So those are just some basics to get you started in impressing clay. There are so many possibilities to create interesting visual textures. You'll find yourself looking at things twice before you toss them. And on walks, you may find things along the way that will inspire you. I hope these techniques and information have been helpful and get you started on your exploration in impressing and stamping in clay to create visual texture.